let my light light up like the city lights, and let it burn for you in the darkest night. Lord, let my light light up like the city lights.
Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a book review on the Vampire Diaries by L.J. Smith. This is a book series, and it's actually a CW series, The Vampire Diaries, based off the books. This is the first two books. The author combined book 1 and book 2 together. He also combined book 3 and 4 together, which I have, but I haven't read yet. And this is The Awakening and the Struggle. So this is what the series is a bit about. Basically, it's about Elena, a girl who's kind of the popular girl. She has tons of friends, and she's so cool. And there's this new kid, Stefan, who comes to school, who she is drawn towards, and she instantly falls for, and she wants to, you know, make him hers. But he kind of is standoffish at first, but then they come together, and she learns that he actually has a secret, Stefan, that he is a vampire. So it's kind of about their love and their relationship, and then Stefan's brother, Damon, who's kind of like the bad boy, kind of gets thrown into the mix because he comes to the town and starts shaking things up a little bit. So this is what the back says: a deadly love triangle. Elena, the golden girl, the leader, the one who can have any boy she wants. Stefan, brooding and mysterious. He seems to be the only one who can resist Elena, and even as he struggles to protect her from the horrors that haunt his past. Damon, sexy, dangerous, and driven by an urge for revenge against Stefan, the brother who betrayed him, determined to have Elena he'd kill to possess her. So yeah, this is basically what it's about. That's basically what it's about. Okay, so the first book, The Awakening, doesn't really get you drawn into the story. It's kind of a little bit draggy, a little bit boring. There's not really anything interesting going on, and there's not much of any character but Elena. It's basically very Elena-centered. I mean, there's other characters around her, like her best friends, Meredith and Bonnie, but you don't really meet, like, you don't really go deep into Stefan and Damon. There's not a lot of Damon into the first book. It's really Elena-centered, and that's really that sucked for me, because I didn't really personally like Elena. I've noticed a lot of differences from the book and the series, because Elena is very different in this series than she is in this book, and I don't really like her in this book. Book 2, you get to know a little bit more about the characters, but again, it's very Elena-driven. Book 2 is The Struggle, and again, it's very Elena-driven still. You don't really, learn anything about the side characters. There's not much of anybody else. Very centered on her. So the first two books are very about her, and all the other characters are kind of there, but not really much in the story. This book, it doesn't really make you want to read the other books. After I finished book 1, The Awakening, I waited a little before I read the second story in here, The Struggle. I waited a couple months because I wasn't dying to read what happened next. And then after book 2, The Struggle, which I recently finished, I'm not dying to read the third book, which is kind of, a bad thing. But I kind of want to learn a little bit more about each character. And in book 2, they added an interesting element. They added the new history teacher, Alaric Saltzman, who you kind of know has, if you're a fan of the series, then you already know his storyline. But you kind of know, if you just read the book for the first time, that there's something going to be more with him and stuff. And I mean, it's a really good book, and I love the storyline. It's kind of a different take on the whole vampire love triangle thing, especially since there's two brothers, Stefan and Damon, and stuff. So it's kind of a different take than like Twilight and the Vampire Academy and stuff. It's a very different take on the whole vampire aspect of things, so I like that. But I'm kind of a little disappointed in the first two books. I mean, they're not very drawn. It doesn't really draw you into the story, but I'm going to keep reading the series. I really want to know what your guys' opinion is. That's just what I think. It was a good book, and the writing was really, really good. I don't think it really, I mean, of course, some of the parts of the book weren't very intense, so you didn't really want to keep reading some of the chapters, but I don't think it dragged or lagged at all. I think that it was really good, and he kept it straight to the point, but it just didn't really interest me, the first two books. But I am interested to see more of the other books and how things played out and everything. Especially because the very end of the book, The Struggle, even though it didn't want to make me immediately read the third book, it is kind of an interesting aspect now because, spoiler alert, Damon and Stefan are kind of having a face-off now because Stefan thinks that Damon killed Elena, but Elena's not dead, and you're kind of wondering, wait, and she kind of knows where Stefan is, she could sense something bad's happening. You're kind of wondering, wait a second, is she a vampire? And I think in the third book they're going to add Catherine, who is Stefan and Damon's ex-vampire girlfriend, so, and she's the one who turned them into vampires. Well, that's what she did in the series. I'm pretty sure she did that in the book too. Yeah, so I can't wait to see if she comes in book 3 and how the whole, if Elena's a vampire and what happens between Damon and Stefan. So yeah, also I noticed in the book series, Damon and Stefan really don't like each other at all, which is weird because in the series on CW, they are kind of, even though they hate each other, they still love each other. I don't know, it's weird. Maybe the big problem with me in this book is that I'm so into the series on CW, it's hard for me to get into the book and see the characters differently. So I would definitely recommend reading the book before you see the series because you might have a different opinion on it. But yeah, so I will be doing reviews on the other 2 books in the series, or the other books in the series. So yeah, thanks for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video.